Hey everybody, welcome to this Talisman session. Talisman is a red tea. You're in for a treat today. Not only is it a red tea, it's from Fujian Province. Hey, can we get a little bit more specific maybe? Maybe we can. It's from Fujian County. And so you're going to ask me where Fuan is. And those of you who got up after 9 o'clock, you're really going to ask me that. But you know what? I've already sent you a map. And if you open that map, you'll find if you look at it and go north in Fujian Province and then go east, and go down just a little bit, go south just a little bit. It's a place called Fuan, Fuan. And this place is at the foot of the Baiyun Mountains. It's just a fabulously hidden, fantastic place for tea lovers. Most people in the world won't ever end up going there because it's really hard to get there. But boy, oh boy, there's some treasures there. And we're going to talk about that because this tea is from that area. And it belongs to something that you'll hear us talk about occasionally, not very often, but something really important among the elite in the tea world. And it's Tanyang Kung Fu tea. So we've talked about Kung Fu here not being the fighting Kung Fu meaning craft. That's the intro. Let's get down to details, not about Talisman, but the details that are relevant to you about the shop. First off, March 8th, that's a week from today, we'll be on an airplane. So the shop will be closed March 8th and will not reopen until April 12th. So for those of you who are wondering, especially in the club, well, wait a minute. Don't I have some teas that are scheduled to be broadcast? Oh, yes, you do. We are starting, and this is a pure coincidence because we set the schedule back in December. And then our travel schedule just perfectly melded around this set of schedules. And so starting March 8th, going all the way through April 12th, we'll be doing fermented teas. So there'll be 5 sessions where we will have a pre-recorded session. The pre-recordings are short, no more than 20 minutes. So let me make a suggestion. You can do anything you want. You can watch them week by week if you wish to. Or what we suggest is carve out an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes worth of time and sit down and watch them back to back to back to back and brew them back to back to back to back. And this way you will simulate a little bit what we go through on almost a daily basis when we're traveling in China and the tea areas, where we're tasting. Now, we're tasting a lot more teas than you would be tasting during that period of time. But by tasting them side by side, you get this incredible feel for how different they are. Some people, because they're looking at the big frame, they think of fermented teas, oh, well, it's got loaminess and earthiness in it. And that's it. And that's all they can feel. But when you taste it side by side by side, oh, wait a minute. This is really clean earth. Or this earthiness has something else. Or this really isn't earthiness. So this is the opportunity you're going to have. We'll post those all by next Saturday. So that'll be your choice. Again, you can watch them one at a time, or as we're suggesting, pick a quiet time where you have 90 minutes to 2 hours, do them all, and you'll not only get a sense of fermented tea, and the fermented tea here is poor. So let's be clear about that, because several people have had something called infatuation. If you haven't had that yet, you don't know the full range or the full scope of fermented teas. And it will be a total surprise to you. But that's for another conversation. We've got lots to cover today, but that I wanted to cover right away. Secondly, our website will close on March 6th or 7th. Once it closes, you will not be able to order anything until about April 10th or 11th. You won't be able to order anything over the internet or the website is what I mean. So be aware of that. If you have something that you're thinking of ordering, it's best to order it now, because we will go ahead and fulfill everything that comes in by the time the shop closes. So that's something to be aware of. If you're going to come to the shop, we'll be open all the way through Friday, March 7th. So that's not many days now. And obviously we're still closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. All right, so that's a little bit of bookkeeping. Let me tell you a little bit more about our trip. We're going to spend about 12 or 13 days in Japan, and we really hope to consummate a deal this time to bring back 2 Japanese teas. It'll be smaller quantities. These will not be cheap market teas. These will be top of the line. One, if we're successful, will be a beautiful, wonderful, and different matcha than most of you have had. Quite expensive, quite exclusive. We think we're going to get sold that this time. The second one, if we're successful, and we think we will be, is a gyokuro, which is a leaf-based Japanese green tea, which is a beautiful tea. And so those are the 2 main things we want to accomplish. We're working to accomplish other things in Japan as well. As you know, as many of you know, we are trying to bring Chinese tea, except for green tea, into the Japanese market. And so part of our work there is to make sure that we apply for all the permits, make sure that we're going to follow all the requisite rules, get prepared for any fees or costs that are associated with that, set up any facilities that are necessary. That's a big part of this trip. The second thing some of you know is that we're getting ready to put somewhere, either on the Japanese side or on the Sophie side, most likely the Japanese side, something for Western purchasers. And that something would be ceramics, Japanese ceramics. We've already consummated the deal with the ceramic makers. And so we're ready to go from that perspective. The last thing is we potentially are going to put gemstones. And this is a very small category, but it would be the bracelets, gemstone bracelets. And it would be outward facing towards the US market, coming from the Japanese market. Japanese market is incredible for its craftsmanship on these bracelets. We are about 60% of the way there in consummating the deal. We think we can complete that on this journey. So we've got lots of things to do in Japan. That's what we're looking to do there. In China, we'll be in China the remainder of the time. And in China, here's what our assignments are. We go to the border of Burma. We'll be on the Chinese side. We'll go to Yiwu, which is a village that we've been wanting to go to for 10 or 15 years. And every time we make a plan, we fail. And we fail usually because we're so tired, because it's usually the last stop. This time we're going to make it almost the first stop. We will get there. And so raw black, fully fermented. We don't know what else they may have there. We know those two things they're very famous for. Ancient tree. We are excited about that part of the trip. In the meantime, we'll return to the Ilau Mountains. We have some more business to complete there. And then quite a bit of the time will be focused on green tea areas in Anhui, green tea and yellow tea. We love Anhui Province because that's where Qimen is, Qimen County, and that's also where the Dabie Mountains are, which is the yellow tea. And so we intend to be spending a lot of time there. Also, hot off the press, we have essentially made a decision to take customers next year. And Qimen County is one of the chief places we would go to, although we're also looking to include the Dabie Mountains. That would be a very special trip. We've never taken anybody to the Dabie Mountains. It's a very beautiful area, yellow tea area. We have a few other spots that we're already talking to farmers, which would be magical within Anhui, where you'll see some other processes that normally foreigners don't get a chance to see. So we're working on this right now. I know a lot of you are thinking and secretly saying out loud, wait a minute. Didn't you tell us that tensions are high between US and China, bad behavior on both sides? We have been worried about this, but the worry is decreasing because we're getting increasing signals from China. And this is at higher levels that things are going to be easier for Westerners to come visit. So we're very much encouraged, especially the channels that we're getting these signals. We're very much encouraged. And that's why we very much think that we're going to be able to pull off one of these trips. That's next year. That would be next spring. One of the things we'll do this time is start the negotiations with everybody. Look at the planning that's required for that. Look at the potential entry places, how, the routes, everything, and see what we might end up doing. So that's all as a prelude to, we would advertise this probably at the end of summer, probably at the start of fall next year would be the plan. But we're excited because, you know, it's been over 5 years since we've taken a crew there, and it's really beneficial both for the Chinese farmers and for Western consumers because, you know, you drink this stuff and you hear about it, and especially you, the 1%ers, know about it. And the only thing that's missing is you haven't seen it with your own eyes. And this would be a wonderful opportunity. And the people that we are talking to are all very enthusiastic about having Westerners come and visit. Some of the other places that we're thinking about, they're not showing as much enthusiasm. And so the result is we don't want to take people anywhere where there isn't this infectious enthusiasm that we're getting from the people that we're talking to right now. And so that kind of is how we're going to open up trips again to China. We will start going to other places, but we're going to rank them in terms of welcomingness to the people from here. So that's what our current is. Lastly, before we talk about Talisman, I want to thank Sue and I want to thank others because there's many others of you who have mentioned this article that's going around on the internet. And it's an article about tea and its ability to absorb nanoplastics, heavy metals, and how it is helpful for human health. Potentially very helpful for human health. We've seen bits and pieces in embedded in other scientific articles. It's just nice to have it all summarized like this. And again, courtesy of Sushi first pointed this out to us, and really appreciate when all of you point out these interesting articles, because every day we're bombarded, especially me, because I'm looking at science coming out of both China and Japan, and obviously anything relevant in the Western world that hits it big, I'm looking at that as well, and trying to keep you updated on stuff that we believe, stuff that we think is not edge science. We, just as philosophically, I think you already know, I'm a little bit conservative from that perspective. I don't want to just throw something out because it seems exciting. And just like when the first news about tea and COVID came out, we really didn't share much about that until we got better science. And now that we have better science, it's easy to talk about things like that and feel comfortable doing that, and feel comfortable that if you follow what's suggested, you're going to receive some sort of benefit. And at the end of the day, we are all about you, because you are special to us. You are our family. And we want to make sure that when we provide you information, it's top of the line, and it's stuff that we follow because we believe or we've seen enough. That seems like enough introduction. In fact, that seems like more than enough. Let's get to Talisman, and let's get to Fujian Province, because we already know Fujian Reds are so special. However, today you're getting Tanyang, and Tanyang, you'll hear many Chinese from Fujian Province talk about and ask, oh, have you had Tanyang Red before? And they always ask with a sense of smug pride, because they know those teas are really, really good. They're some of the highest refined red teas in the world. Now, it's easy to say that statement and leave it out there hanging without giving you context. But that's not me. I've got to give you context. And part of the context is as follows. The formula for doing Tanyang Reds really came from inspiration from a gentleman who used to work in the Wuyi Mountains. And this occurred in the 1800s, somewhere around 1850 or so. And he moved from the Wuyi Mountains, came down to Fujian area, and then started to work on red tea. Wow, this is interesting. Somebody moved from the Wuyi Mountains and started to work on red tea. Why would they do that? Everything, when you hear a statement like that, is driven by the market, right? At that time, pre-1850, a ton, actually many tons of green tea were still leaving China, and they were going and being exported. But year in and year out, that number got smaller and smaller. In the 1850s in Tanyang, it was famous already, and it had been famous for a couple hundred years. And they said something about Guixiang Mountain. Guixiang, you don't have to worry about that. But essentially what that meant was there was a fragrance, osmanthus mountain fragrance. And that was from the tea and the osmanthus flowers that grew in that area. That tea was already recognized as green tea as being, gosh, that's really aromatic, really fragrant. This guy came down from the Wuyi Mountains, and because he knew the Wuyi Mountain cliff tea methodology, he used a part of that in producing red tea. And there was already this thoroughness that we've talked about in terms of red tea, because remember, that was the inspiration for the tea that eventually got produced in Chiman. And remembering that when we talk about Kung Fu or Tsungo, we're talking about this highly crafted tea that's more than the 6 steps or 7 steps or 8 steps that Yunnan reds have, or that the bad reds, that's not fair, or that the less accomplished reds in other places in China have. There are about 16 or 17 steps in the Tongyan teas. And just like with the Chiman tea, much of, at least 50% of the steps is about blending the tea so that it's uniform and it achieves the flavor profile that they're looking for. Now, we use this very overused and misunderstood word, blending. What do I mean by blending? What? They went to Anhui and grabbed some tea. They went to Henan and grabbed some tea, and then they blended it with theirs. No, that's not what I mean by blending. They are taking Caihua. So Caihua really is vegetable or vegetal wild tea varietals that already grew in Tanya. And they put those together. That's blending. It's not blending in the sense of, oh, we're blending these wildly different places or wildly different varietals. No, it's all within a locale. And why do they blend? Are they blending primarily for a flavor, or are they blending for an aesthetic? They're blending for an aesthetic. And then afterwards, blending for a flavor. Now let's go back to the history that I talked to you about. Weishan Mountain. So inherently, the Caihua teas, the wild teas that are growing in that area, very aromatic. So I had somebody come in here. This is digression, by the way. I promise only one digression today. That's, oh, and I'm wearing a linen, so I have to keep to that promise. When, you know what? Since I only have one digression, I better not digress on this because I have a feeling I'm going to digress on something else. So let's get back to that wild osmanthus mountain and that aromatics and the 1850s change into the red tea. In order to understand why they made that decision to change to red tea at that time, you also have to look at history a little bit more. 1843, China and the West come to a decision that 6 ports will be open. Did I say 6? It's 5. 5 ports will be open for Westerners to come to. Pre-1843, they could really only come in through Canton Province, and that was it. Everything was very limited, and that's why Westerners really didn't understand the tea process because they weren't really traveling a lot through China and watching this process, and everything was going through Canton. Did the Cantonese completely understand the process? The people who were handling the trade? No, they did not, because they weren't out there doing the trade. They were collecting, and they were the middle people. They were selling the tea. 1843, all of that changes. However, Fuzhou, which has a port, was not selling tea. So the tea from Tanyang was still going mostly interiorly. In 1843, after they opened up the ports, some of it found its way to Canton and some of it started being exported. So by the 1850s, this guy, when he moved to Tanyang, realized there's a big opportunity here because the red teas are picking up steam. More money, more demand. Let's do it. Is Tongyang the only place in the Fujian area that does craft tea? No, let's get that straight also, because sometimes you'll hear about Zhenghe, and you know Zhenghe most because of the white tea, but they also do some craft red tea. There's several other places, Bailing, also very famous for craft tea, but there's so little of it produced, you mostly don't see it on the market. You barely see Tongyang on the market, although by the 1860s in Europe, it was showing up. And the Europeans knew enough to ask, oh my God, what is this thing? Give me more. Why were they asking this? They were asking this because they made this tea, and what struck them right away? Aroma. Huge aroma. Ooh, good aroma. By the way, since you're going to taste this, I'm not going to tell you what the aroma tastes like. You're going to tell me, and you can't taste aroma. I understand that. Understudy error. You will tell me what the aroma smells like, and then you'll tell me the taste of this tea. You'll also tell me a few other things about this tea as you go through the tasting. So I want to also clear one thing up, because we had a prolonged discussion in the shop this week about spent tea leaves. And there was a lot of discussion of, are they acidic? Are they good for mulch? And when they are broken down, they're good for mulch, and they are absolutely acidic. What sort of acid are we talking about? We're talking about precursors to citric acid, oxalic acid, OXALIC, and malic acid, MALIC. Here's the science portion. I had to throw in a few of those words to make sure that, the scientists were satisfied. These are the predominant acids in tea. Why am I bringing it up today? Why didn't I bring it up before? Why didn't I bring it up with other teas? Because it's the access to these acids and the way they're processing it, and specifically the way they're withering and the way they are oxidizing, that they're bringing out more, and that's bringing out more of this fruity aroma. This is not an accident, and there's deep research in China which has gone through and broken down the constituents which they're bringing out and creating in their Kung Fu methodology. Remember, Kung Fu just means craft methodology, and these guys are all about craft. And here in the West, if you can find a Tongyang outside of here, bless you, because it's hard to find. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it's just simply hard to find, because most Western tea shops, they don't know the look. They're not involved enough. They don't understand down at this level where to look. All right, so that's Talisman. Tea Master's hovering around over there, which means that she's thirsty, because she senses that all of you are thirsty. Enough of all this talk about all of this tea. I hope I'm right that it's really good. Let's see whether I'm right or wrong. And let's have the tea master first demonstrate. And there's a number of you who are new on today's session. Remember, she'll demonstrate first. And, oh, you know what? Even before I let her, let's have her demonstrate. And then while it's brewing, we're going to talk about the brewing methodology, because we've heard so many things in the tea shop. Oh, my tea tastes different at home versus here, and blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about that hard for a couple minutes. But right now, The tea master came in particularly beautiful today and adorned in a wonderful outfit. And I'm so impressed. I knew that she was beautiful from a couple miles away. The shop was just shining. So without further ado, let me bring in Biju.
Hi, good morning, everyone. 早上好，我们做红茶，烤红茶，好，太阳功夫红茶 is red from Fujian. So also we use it, but my style usually is two cup, right? But my style is three. It's my style. So if you like it, if you have the one more cup, so usually, dissipate steam. So watch me, how can I use it in a technique? So John, help me, please.
Yeah. So she uses 3 cups so that she can dissipate the steam faster. But if you just have 2 cups in a strainer, you're good to go. We use 3 cups to dissipate it faster. You're good with 2. Timing on this is 3 minutes. Temperature is 170 to 172. And the grams on this are 6 grams. You don't have to measure out because everything's pre-measured. And you're not brewing this first time around. This first time you're just watching and listening. We're going to brew again. And at that point, you'll brew.
This is called 太阳功夫红茶. Either I use the large cup in this, but I still keep my, the功夫茶style. So open the tea tree.
Now it's interesting. You just heard her use Kung Fu style brewing. So that's the same Kung Fu that's in Tanyang Kung Fu tea, craft brewing. Kung Fu really, and in fact, fighting Kung Fu, that's about the craft of fighting. That's why that's used. She's drawing 170-degree water. She used 200-degree water to heat the cups. You can use any temperature of water to heat the cups between 170 and 212. Does not matter. But what does matter is what you actually end up brewing with. And one of the things you're going to see, here she comes. And look at the rhythm of this process. There's a question sometimes, well, why can't I brew like she brews? Why does it taste different? There's so many different reasons that can happen. Usually we look at the water first. Difference in water, we use an industrial filter here. One that we designed, in conjunction with the company who installed this whole system. Inherently, we have good water here, catching. But then after we add chemicals and so forth, we try and take those chemicals out. Just look at that rhythm. And everybody has a different rhythm. But the key is that they have a rhythm. So she aerated, dissipated the steam. She's taken the leaves out.
This is called 茶叶. It's a loose leaf. 茶针 needle. 茶海. Okay.
That holder, they literally call it the TC, but it's a holder.
This is my style in the Tanyang Kung Fu in the Fujian area. So also this is on purpose. This I can keep in the temperature.
So she adds the leaves to the heated cup. She's going to shake it.
This is very important thinking. So it's a basic thinking. It's a person, Teresa, right?
That's true.
These are
Teresa
incredible.
does have the best
Yeah.
shaping technique that we've ever seen.
Okay, that's
And really what you're trying to do is distribute heat among the leaves evenly.
this is the my style. Is you follow the basic figure. This water come back.
So she pours the
Not taller. It's
Water.
low.
back into the kettle so she can control the pour, where the water actually lands. And you notice it's on the side of the cup. It's not directly on the leaves. In effect, trying to pour under the leaves. We start the timer, a 3-minute timing. Make sure that we heat the cup. That's going to be the recipient cup. Take a look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Most of the leaves, and it's different by varietal, are sitting on the bottom. Remember, we've seen some of it. So last week we did whatever tea we did last week, they all sat on the top. This one, they're all sitting on the bottom. Yes.
One question just slipped in before brewing about the acids in the tea.
Yeah.
Question is, much of those acids, like oxalates, will be broken down by heat though, correct?
They are changed by heat, yes. They're also more importantly changed by enzymatic processes. All right. What am I? Oh, brewing. So, huh? You notice how much attention we pay to brewing. This turns out to be very, very important in terms of getting a final result. We're not sloppy. We have process when we do brewing. So I ask you this, and this is the problem with the internet, and this is the problem with creativity. Creativity is great, but we have a customer, Rob, who is doing bread. And he talked about this tangentially yesterday because he said there's all these sites on the internet. They have nonsense instructions. But then when you find the real experienced bakers, they give you science and they go beneath the surface and give you the secrets on how to bring out the best. So it works in baking. It works in brewing too. And brewing is the most underrepresented in all tea shops, in all tea purveyors. They spend the least time talking about brewing, and that's the largest mistake. They assume, oh, you make up instructions or don't do these rough things or go look at the internet. False and doubly false. Think about Japanese tea ceremony. I ask you this. When you've seen Japanese tea ceremony, they set up a computer here, looking at the computer, oh, we'll do this. Oh, this arm motion is supposed to be like, no, it's supposed to be like this. Oh, as a guest, I'm supposed to sit a certain way. The answer is no. They're pre-trained. And every single movement has a purpose and has a significance. This is not different from the Kung Fu style in China. And yet, all these people on Instagram, all these people on YouTube portray as if it's really simple and you can kind of just wing it, so to speak, and come up with a fine cup of tea. I am here to tell you this is categorically in every level false. Having attention to detail, having attention to rhythm, and being present. That's the secret. It really is. Here's what's going to happen when you brew. You're going to get something close to this color. Now, again, for those of you who are new, to the session, what we're going to do is enter the quality arena. The quality arena is really simple. This is brewed at 170 to 172. You can take a larger sip, you'll roll it around in your mouth, you'll determine where is the astringency on my tongue or in my mouth. When you swallow, what's the aftertaste like? Lastly, what's the energetics? How do you feel? How does it make you feel? If you hear that somebody else feels differently than you, don't feel bad. We're genetically all different. So our speeds of appreciation are different. Our appearances of astringency in the mouth can be different. Don't worry about that. But if you drink this thing and you come back and you say, oh yeah, this tastes like garlic and onions, you're outside the guardrails. That's not a genetic. That's simply you haven't tasted this correctly. All right, so let me enter the quality arena. And again, for those of you who are new, do you notice you don't blow the tea? If you blow the tea, you interfere with the full appreciation. Why? The aroma and taste are all linked together. And if you don't allow them to interact together, what happens? You lose a percentage of what you could have had. Okay. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are new, you should have your pencil out and you should be taking notes as well. Because week by week, style by style, we compare. And then you have a record and you grow and you learn. The magic of Sophie's is scope. You think you understand everything about a category, and then you come in, and then we sneak a test to you. And sometimes you fail. Failure is good because that means you learn. And secondarily, you won't fail again. You'll see scope in a way that you won't at other tea shops. All right. I'm going to take a second sip because I'm greedy. I verify for me where the astringency is in the mouth. Ah, I have an aftertaste. Ooh, I have some energetics. Okay, it's your turn to brew. Tea Master will brew with you. So get out your bag number 3. This is the last in this 9-week series of red teas. And by the way, this has been so much fun to have spend this 9 weeks with you doing the red teas. It's incredible experience for us, mostly because you are all so good. And secondly, we can go deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's what you're going to find is going to happen with us for all of these sessions. We go deeper because you understand more. And as you understand more, you crave more and we give you more. And we'll continue to do that by putting sessions like this together. All right, you heat your glasses, dissipate the steam.
这样告诉他们，就是得泡茶，所有的就是第一要清洁颗粒，
啊
第二就是温度，保持这个空的那个杯的温度。
Okay. Tea Master reminds everybody, why are we doing this? Are we doing this just to play and have fun because it's the children at heart in our hearts? No, it's because cups must be absolutely clean and we've got to reach the right temperature. These are all details, and the details in aggregate matter. If you skip a step or you rush through a step, you get the result of doing either of those things. And it's not the same result that you get when you're in here. You have to really, really be aware of that. There are rules, inviolable rules.
So this is the first is temperature, cup temperature, and the speed, heat, dissipate steam, and also the 头茶的速度，要快头茶变。
So temperature of water, speed of dissipating the steam, and how you actually end up pouring the water in the cup with the leaves. These things are all important. They're details, but they're important. And again, remembering you develop your own rhythm. Developing your own rhythm doesn't mean that the timings have to be exactly the same, but it does mean that you've got to cover all the steps and do it in the rhythm which is right for you. When you do it in the rhythm that's right for you, you're going to get a great result because you're following the steps. The amazing thing in some of these Instagram presentations and some of the presentations you see on YouTube is they are shockingly uneven in rhythm. Not only are they shockingly uneven in rhythm, they don't even address rhythm except insofar as, oh, well, you gotta have Buddhist rhythm. What the heck is Buddhist rhythm? I have no idea what Buddhist rhythm is. Okay, you apply.
And the shaking.
Okay,
Fast.
just look how beautiful and steady that rhythm is. And again, look at how differently these brew. We've seen so many of the teas brew with top heavy, hanging down a lot. Here, no, this is mostly on the bottom, sticking up. And again, the craft of this, tea leaves, this is a bud and one or two leaves, and they sieve it so many times. They sieve it they actually sieve it 6 times to get evenness in the leaves. Why does evenness matter? It creates the best flavor when they have all even leaves. And this is what they've discovered through the years. By the way, for those of you who are wondering, did he forget to tell us about process? Let me quickly go through the process. You pick, you wither. Withering is one of the most important steps in Tongyang Kung Fu. In the old days, pre-1850s, you always withered outdoors. Sunlight green is what they used to call that. Nowadays, as farmers have become more enriched and as the process has been studied more, it's indoors, humidity controlled. After withering, you roll. After rolling, you oxidize. Last, it's an interesting process, not last, by the way, not anywhere near last. You actually heat enough so that it's on bamboo, you put it over charcoal, that steam rises out of the air, and you in and out, and then eventually, when you get down to a certain degree of moisture, you actually bake it to get it down to a final, not final, but closer to final moisture level. And then you go through these 8 to 9 refinement steps where you're sieving it, you're removing things that just don't match anything else, and then you blend from which fields you get it. It's not you're blending teas from other areas. You're blending from your set of fields and you're producing grades. The grade where it's most even, most aromatic, most beautiful, that's top of the line. That's gift grade. Very expensive, very hard to find. And then you go through a potential of 10 other grades. And for Tongyang, because it's so famous in China, most of that stuff is produced in the lowest in terms of grade that it gets is to grade 4 or so. Nothing goes to grade 10. Everything keeps at a higher grade.
This is technique 啊，gentle, slowly, fast. OK, speed fast. OK, gentle, slowly, fast.
Okay. So you have separated the tea leaves from the tea water. And now it's your turn to go ahead and enter the quality arena. Take notes. You have, for those of you who've been on for the previous sessions, take notes and then compare. Because this thing is incredible. And take your time. There's no rushing doing this. This is about rhythm. And rhythm, everybody has a different rhythm. It's not illegal. And it's not considered, oh, you're creative to do a different rhythm. No, but do all the steps. Yes.
We have a number.
Okay.
The way it leaves red dust behind in the bag, the way it pours from the leaves when straining, when there are darker streaks carried by the water, and the particulates, trichomes in the tea water, is very similar to PN.
PN.
PAEAN.
Oh, PN. Yes. Okay. Great
Clarity.
catch. Yes. Another, yes. Great observation. And I love the fact that you used all these large words too. That makes me feel good. You're absorbing it. It's trichomes, particulates. On the serious note, this is a great catch because it isn't that far away from the skill that's present in PN.
Next comment, I'm pleasantly confused. Lots of similarities with cliff tea, starting with the aromas of fruit and florals.
Great. Confusion. This tea brings confusion to begin with. By the way, by the end, there'll be complete clarity. The confusion is that there is some similarity to cliff tea, this speaker notes. And one of the similarities that they're honing in on is the aroma and the fruitiness of the aroma to some of the cliff teas. And this is a good observation. Even though this isn't from the Wuyi Mountains, again, it's an inheritor of the skill set of somebody who came steeped in the cliff tea tradition, who's applying elements of it, but not making this a cliff tea. This is clearly not a cliff tea. We're brewing at a different temperature. And there's zero minerality in this. But what a great catch to taste underneath that and be able to taste the cliff teas. And there's one more reason I am so happy with this comment, because actually, some of the hybrids created in this area have gone back up to the Wuyi Mountains, and they do make cliff teas from some of the hybrids. What a sensitive comment. Yes.
The dry leaves had a sweet aroma, but the wet leaves had more umami aroma.
Dry leaves, a sweet aroma. Wet leaves, umami aroma. And let's talk about this for a minute, because you're reminding me I've got to give you a sense of rhythm to this. If you just listen to my voice, or if you just listen to your impulse, that is your thirst impulse, you will drink this too fast to catch everything. So what I'm trying to get you to do here, and I love the fact that, again, we're parsing dry leaf, sweet, wet, umami. Parse like this at this speed, and you'll get full understanding of this tea. Yes.
One more comment about the notes of oolong, and then a longer comment from another commenter. The scent of the warmed leaves is sweet, malt, umami with hints of chocolate. Scent of the steeped leaves is sweet, malt with a hint of floral. The scent of the tea water is honey plum cider. It's as if we are peeling back layers and seeing its inner qualities more clearly.
Love this comment because wet leaves, dry leaves, and tea water. And at each level or at each stop, there is a different evaluative result. And that's proper because this tea is complex and catching it's not simply just sweet. I love the fact that by the end in the tea water, you talked about a plum-like type of flavor. There is definitely a floral / fruity, and by calling it plum-like, you are picking a very appropriate fruit because plums have both a sweet and a tartness to them. And you also, I think, in this entire comment, mentioned something about cider. Again, cider has a sweetness and a sharpness to it. Love that you're detecting that. The best of the Tangyang teas, Tangyang Gongfus, have these qualities. Yes.
Another agreement with the chocolate notes and also some aroma of dried fruits, dried something. Another comment weighing in with umami, saying umami on the nose rules. And then the last comment, which wet leaves have a smell of sweet tobacco.
Oh, how interesting. So umami in aroma, sweet tobacco. Oh, I actually like this because that kind of blends in the umami. Say again.
Yeah, on the leaves, the wet
On the
leaves.
leaves, yeah, wet leaves has that blends in with the umami. So sweet and umami. Loving that you're picking that up. And I also want to focus on the fact that you're detecting chocolate because I ran straight through that stoplight a few minutes ago as people were pointing out, because this isn't the first point out of chocolate. There is chocolate in this. No, there is not chocolate in this. There's the hints of chocolate in the aroma and in the taste. And a really good red tea, especially a craft red tea. Why would you choose a craft over some other tea bag tea or some other loose leaf tea that is lesser quality? And the reason being is this gives you all this variety, all in this one cup that you can't get out of.
So we have an energetics note.
Oh,
Each sip activates the spot between my eyebrows and at the base of my neck, like soft, warm humming.
okay. So everybody has different images for the energetics. Humming between the eyebrows. Did I get that right? What's between the eyebrows?
So it is activates the spot between the eyebrows
Okay.
and at the base of the neck, like soft, warm humming does. So when you hum, the activation is similar.
Okay.
I hope I got that right.
Actually love this description because, and especially we have a guest producer today, Jonathan, who made this so clear to me because it's like when you're humming and that's all you're doing and you get this energy. So really, this is a description of energy in the upper body and how it's activating your upper body from neck up to the head, up into the brain. And a wonderful description. Remember, if you don't get that, don't worry. Everybody's getting different energetics, but don't disparage somebody who gets energetics like this because over the years, what I've discovered is that these teas give unusual energetics, especially at this level. Yeah.
And they also inspire us to create new words. There's a dryness up front, but as I go down the cup, there's a clear mouth wateriness.
A clear mouth wateriness. I love the energetics that inspires you to create new words. You are right up my alley. There is a mouth wateriness to this, and that's why I tried to caution you about 10 minutes ago, speed of consumption, because the mouth wateriness of this, if you are not alert, you will consume this thing in 30 seconds, and then it's like, oh, what happened? I was tricked into drinking this tea real quickly. That's the mouth wateriness of it. When you're analyzing it, you can't do mouth watering. When the boss and I are in China, it doesn't matter how juicy, mouth watery, great the taste is, interesting the taste is, we still have to taste in rhythm. Now, when you're serving it to guests, that's no problem. Yeah. Oh, this is really good. Give me more. You want to hear that. But when you're analyzing, you want to hear what we're talking about. Yes.
Okay, let's see if I get this one. As I smell the tea, I get dried mango, tart cherries, and black currants in order from top note down. The tea water is a deeper, richer flavor with cocoa, violets, mixed dried fruits, but not too sweet. Think blackberries, mango, Asian pears, and a very light notes of tobacco and smoke in the background.
Okay, this is a very complex comment, and I like it because this tea does have a ton of things going on in it. And I like the order of this because it started out with mango, tart cherries, and black currants or red currants in the opening. And all of those have a suggestion. As good as they all have a suggestion of hidden tartness, of a hidden underneath tartness. And that's interesting from the human palate. We love stuff like that. Then it moved from that. What was the next set of three?
Yeah, so then that was the smell. And then in the
Smell,
tea, in the
okay.
tea water is a deeper, richer flavor. Cocoa, violets, and mixed dried fruits, but not too sweet.
Love this. Cocoa, violets, and mixed dried fruit. You know, this is a really good comment because what it's saying to me is not only is there this melange of flavors, we're able to parse that out. We can detect the chocolate. Without question, we can detect the cocoa and the mixed dried fruits without giving a name to them, but curtailing them by saying not too sweet. And that's a great observation because all along from top to bottom, we do have fruit / floral, but it isn't. Remember, when we opened up the commentary, we started with a few sweets. We're getting away from those sweets now because as we get down into this, we're absorbing the other flavors and those are predominating. Great catch.
First sip was strongly caramel, and as I drink down into the cup, I detected an undertone that I can only relate to flat Coca-Cola. The mouthfeel is juicy with slight astringency.
You know, ordinarily, I would pull out the yellow flag and there'd be a 15-yard penalty for having the words Coca-Cola in any comment. Nonetheless, because you put it the way you did, flat Coca-Cola that
Juicy with slight astringency.
with the juicy and slight astringency, I am going to pick up that yellow flag and say I can accept this. Caramel in the beginning. You definitely stayed in bounds in the tea world because you talked about in the beginning, hey, this is sweet. And we had several sweets in the beginning. And then you get down. Flat Coca-Cola, God, that sounds funny coming out of my mouth. Let's pretend I didn't say that. But having said that, it is almost like when you say it that way, again, the sweetness is not there. And that's what I love that you're pointing out. And at the end, what was the end? The chocolate, right?
No, just the slight juicy with
Oh.
slight astringency. Yeah.
Juicy and astringent. Yeah. And this goes back to the mouth wateriness because you want to drink this fast with this commentary.
I'm gonna honor time and combine a few of
Oh,
them.
okay, great.
So one quickly, which got lots of thumbs up, was smooth, challenging to drink slowly. Okay, yes.
I love this. Smooth, challenging to drink slowly.
And then the next one actually was in a comparison of the dryness in the mouth, actually reminiscent of the way the Sichuan pepper dries the mouth. Not saying it tastes like
numbing.
Sichuan tape, but the numbing and drying was a comparison there. There was a couple votes for feeling like I've been in a deep meditation, and relating to the earlier comment, their comment about the humming. Also have felt that with other teas in the shop as well. And then towards the end, warm, fruity lusciousness in the bottom of my mouth, astringency at the top of my mouth. And then the last one from Aggie, thank goodness I didn't get the yellow flag.
You know, it's such a pleasure to do these teas with you. And these were all great comments. Love how you're approaching this tea. You're catching the magic of this tea. You're catching the magic of Tangyang Kung Fu tea. And we are so happy to share this with you in this way, because it would have been easy to serve this to you. Oh, is this good? Yeah, it's good. You drink it in 60 seconds, 2 minutes. Yeah, that was really good. And you don't know why. And you don't grok the complexity of it, because it's easy. It's easy, but it's complex to understand. The lusciousness, I love that expression of this tea. This is luscious. And we didn't choose this tea to end with in this 9-week series by accident. We knew, as we've gone through this set of incredible teas over this 9 weeks, that we had to end with a big bang, because you tasted top of the line stuff. You've appreciated top of the line stuff, top of the line tea, I should say. And so ending here was very appropriate. Thank you all for your participation in this set of red teas and your perceptiveness, taking notes, being patient, and working through them. One of the things I want to tell you from the bottom of our hearts is both Biju and I appreciate your love for these teas, and it encourages us when we travel to seek out only the top of the line. We don't settle for second best. We don't settle for almost. It's got to be top of the line, because you're top of the line and your expectations are top of the line, as they should be. So I congratulate all of you for being so careful and perceptive with this tea. We're going to miss you dearly over this next 6 weeks. And even though we haven't left yet, we can't wait to get back. Yes, we know we've got to do all these important things, and we will, and we'll do a good job while we're gone, but we will miss you. So during these 6 weeks, you have a responsibility, and that responsibility is to stay healthy, to stay positive, and be really ready to come back and have a fabulous session on April 12th when we do Black Hole. Black Hole is one of the most special fermented teas that we have. And it really stands above, for a variety of reasons, some of the other fermented teas. All right. We'll see you in 6 weeks. April 12th. Bye-bye now. Take care.